Hey everybody, this video is for the first quarter moon in Leo, which is part of the Taurus lunar cycle. We started this cycle last week with the new moon in Taurus, and it will carry us through from April 27th all the way until May 27th, when we'll start a new cycle in the sign of Gemini. But for now, we're working through the theme of ground. And last week, we worked through grounding in our beliefs and our values, what's really important to us right now to start building into this next chapter of our life. And throughout last week, we worked with learning how to communicate, how to process information that we were receiving as we were communicating about our ideas and our values and our beliefs and what it is that we're trying to build. And we also started to learn how to create some boundaries so that we could nurture ourselves moving forward, so that we could learn how to create a safe space where we feel good about what we're creating while helping us to shift past old stories of the way people have, we've grown up with, or that we've been sort of privy to believing from other people and our experience with them as we've moved through our lifetime, in order for us to evolve that and learn how to push past those limiting beliefs. And today we start moving into, not today, today and tomorrow, we're moving into the sign of Leo, and Leo is heading off this first quarter phase. And the first quarter phase is always about how can we make improvements to what it is that we're creating? How can we, in this case, improve upon the way that we want to express ourselves confidently? How can we gain more confidence in what it is that we're building? How can we speak from the heart and have pride in what it is that we're building, so that we can ground in these new values and ground in these new projects, these new ideas, these new goals that we've set for ourselves moving into the next phase? So as I said, the first quarter phase starts tomorrow, and that is, I don't even know what date we're at. We're at May the 4th as of tomorrow. And that's entering with the sign of Leo, which is all about our authenticity, all about what's coming from our heart, so that we can passionately go out there and share it with the world to continue to build it. And as we continue to move through the week, we'll work with how we can continue to build that authenticity and our self-expression within it. And we'll start to then ground in how we're going to make that or allow that to show up in our daily world. So as we move from Leo into Virgo energy, which will happen Monday, Tuesday, Virgo energy is all about how can we make some refinements? How can we organize? How can we make sure that we have created a system and a structure and a schedule and routines that are going to allow us to continue to build out our dreams? That means our resources, right? What resources do we need so that we can take care of what's important to us? And by resources, I mean what time, what money, what energy, what emotions are we putting towards our daily life that is going to speak to what it is that we want to create? And also with Virgo energy, it's about service to others. So in doing so, in allowing ourselves to create energy, and create space and to create systems and routines, how can we do so that we are not only speaking to our own authenticity about what it is that we're trying to ground in and build and make happen for ourselves, but also when we do that, how is it going to allow us to show up in our best selves for taking care of other people and being a part of other people's lives? And so that's really has a lot to do with Virgo. Virgo also has to do with, our mental health and our physical health and how we show up that way. So, it's, I say this before and I'll say it here as well. It's sort of the slogan of putting the oxygen mask on yourself before doing so for others. And that's really like, take care of yourself so that you do show up in the best way possible for everybody else around you, and that you're creating the story that's your life and not just about other people's lives. It's not about showing up in service of how you can help take care of other people and help them plan their lives. It's really, what are you doing in your life that allows you to be your best self? And that comes back to that Leo energy that's starting us off this weekend about like, what's in your heart, what's speaking to you. And that itself comes back to where we started with this cycle last week, with what is most important for you to create. What is the value behind that? What are the beliefs behind that? As we shift into the latter part of this week, we'll meet with Libra. The moon will shift into Libra, and that will take place Thursday, Friday, Saturday of next week. And when we do so, Libra is all about partnering, and Libra is about harmony and balance and equality and making things aesthetically beautiful and making relationships beautiful and speaking with diplomacy. Libra is the archetype of Libra is the diplomat, right? Like, how can we show up in our relationships? And so as we go about this week and we learn, or we start to be really expressive about the things that we want, and we learn how we can start to factor that into our day to day and create systems that's going to support that, be able to take care of ourselves so that we can support that. By the end of the week, we'll be looking more in tune with the relationships that we have in our world. Those relationships can be close relationships. It can be relationships with your children. It could be relationships with your partner. It could be work relationships and partnerships, contractual partnerships, as in your husband and your wife or your business partners. How are you showing up? And at this time, by the end of the week, after we've started to move through all this stuff of grounding and what's important to us, how will we then be presented with opportunities where we can start to speak to that from a place of balance, from a place of harmony, from a place of mutual growth? We want what's important for us, and we want to be respectful of what's important for other people. Libra is also associated with the theme of justice and what's right and what's wrong, right? Like what really is that value? And that value ties right back into that Taurus energy that's guiding this whole lunar cycle of these 4 weeks. And so when we look at that, what is it truly important to you? And how can you make sure, how can you use your own best judgment to make sure that the way that you're speaking is holding true to what you believe in and is holding true to how you want to act in your relationships and your partnerships so that you can partner together for mutual growth? And I've said in some of my shorter stuff that I've posted, we don't always agree with the people around us, right? We don't always share the same values and the same beliefs, but what we can do is show up because we care about people regardless, and we want to show up in our best light. We want to do what I just said about that Virgo energy of sharing and showing up for other people to be of service to this world in general. We want to do so in a place that is allowing everybody to grow for everybody's best interest. And so this whole week is kind of learning how to express yourself, how to manage that within your world, and then how to relate and partner and communicate with other people. And that week, this whole week will guide us into the following week, next Sunday, when we enter into the full moon in Scorpio, which is a lot more intense energy of whatever's come up this week that we're moving through, that is going to speak to our emotions. It's going to speak to how we feel. And if it's not resonating with other people, or if we feel as if we are having to make concessions, or if we feel that other people are trying to control what it is that we want to do, or if we feel our own need for control and hanging on to certain things that are, if we do hang on to rigid ways of trying to do things and control over that or having power over that, it won't allow us to really partner and then furthermore explore other ways of creating and moving forward. So that will tie into not this week but the following week, as we've have accomplished whatever it is that we're moving through in this current week. So I have a few examples that I can set up for you. I can let you know where I'm working on these energies within my own world. Certainly in terms of work stuff, I partner with another company. I partner with the Maven's Call, and through the Maven's Call, I house my courses that I'm going to be offering, that I currently am offering. I offer the Archetypes of the Zodiac course. So as I partner with them and as we work within our own growth moving forward, I also we're looking at exploring the different ways and products that we can offer my services through them. But also I have this autonomy and I have this other side of me that's strictly Cycle Points at this point, and strictly Stacy, and how I am building up my clientele in terms of my coaching and things like that, that eventually I will merge. But for the time being, I'm trying to build up both. So how can I be really authentic in what I'm trying to put out there, what I'm trying to ground? I'm trying to ground the growth of my business, and I'm trying to ground the growth of how I want to merge with the larger business that I'm trying to work with other people. And so how can I do that so that I'm setting up my routines and I'm setting up my schedules, that I'm honoring both of those things, that I'm speaking from my heart about what is important to me in both of those worlds to make sure that they are coming together cohesively? And how can we communicate and partner together to see how we are going to move forward from both ends? The girls from Maven's Call have their own set of intentions. Then me within Maven's Call, we have a group thing of how we're founding that as a business. And then also Stacy and what I offer through Cycle Points. And so really being able to hone all that together. Another example that I have is in terms of my body and what I'm moving through with those things. So I work with my hormones, and like that really pays into or shows how I move through my personal cycles, right? And how I am affected at different points of my cycle, and how I'm being called to stand into my own authenticity of all the growth that I've made over the years, right? Like I've had a lot of struggles there. I've had struggles with working how to deal with my emotions and working with how to deal with anxieties as my hormones are varying throughout the month. And so I'm finding that within my personal relationships, being able to show up with a voice where, in the past, that might have been tied to showing up where there's been more emotionality leading that. And so it's been more difficult to have my voice heard. So I'm learning how to communicate in a different way. I'm learning how to set up my daily routine so that I'm able to structure myself and support my physical well-being and develop new routines, such as, first thing I do in the morning now that is, I've been practicing for several months, is I wake up and I take time to meditate and to stretch in the morning. And then I go downstairs and I have a big glass of water and I take my dog for a walk. And then I come back and start with coffee. So from a physical standpoint and a physical health and wellness standpoint, which is part of my background as a physical trainer, as a personal trainer and a wellness coach. So I'm learning how to work with my hormone levels, be it the cortisol levels that I'm referring to here, and allowing my body to wake up and kind of balance out my cortisol levels. I can't speak properly, but have myself come back to this equilibrium before I inject myself with the caffeine that I'm craving and that I love having, right? So I'm learning simple things like that. Get your body moving first. Allow your body to detoxify before you add in those things. Caffeine can be super helpful in many regards, but first we have to learn how to balance our bodies. From another angle, I'm working on, and I've shared this before, exploring heritage as an adopted individual. I've had times throughout my life where I've been able to explore certain aspects of that. And I've had some really disappointing times where at the peak, and I'll tie that with the hormone stuff, at the peak of me trying to work through perimenopause, when I had no idea what was going on with my body, when everything was kind of changing. And that was coming at the end of the pandemic. So like really my whole world was all over the place. I had opportunities to do so. And all the opportunity that I had at that time came crashing down. And so I didn't handle that well, right? And not only did I not handle that situation well, it then was sort of the trigger point for me to start to look at all my relationships with different people and how I rely and depend on other people in my life, to really start to look within to be able to deal with myself. And so now, as I reach this point again, I'm being given this opportunity once more to explore this, to go travel, to look at different aspects of that. I've really grounded in what's important through, right before this cycle, this stuff was coming up, and that has to do with the Aries cycle before. So feel free to go back and learn about how we've been kind of working through all these new sparks of ideas and all these things that we wanted to do. But when I bring it into this cycle and what I'm trying to ground in now, I'm trying to ground in what's important to me. It has nothing to do with being reliant on other people that are a part of that journey. So whether I go off and travel and explore land of my heritage, or even people of my heritage, I don't even necessarily have to meet those people. I don't have to set myself up for disappointments when other people might not be ready to explore those things with me, but there's other ways that I can explore that within myself. And so I gave an example in a short way on an Instagram reel, that maybe I'll post to YouTube as well as a short. But the example is, last night those feelings were coming up. We have yet to book this trip that might happen in the summer, and so there's been lots of things. I'm reliant on this trip. Not so much reliant. I can take the trip however which way that I choose to do that trip, but the trip, the way that it's being planned, is part of my safeguards around protecting myself, has to do with planning this with my core family unit, which is my husband and my two children. And part of the safeguard that I put into place is to prevent the huge disappointment of what might happen, what might not happen on the trip, by making it be a part of our growth and the way that we want to walk through this world and explore this world together. And as we're doing that, part of the opportunity is a direct replica of what transpired a couple of years ago, where one family member was coming with us and it was really directly tied to that person. Oh, and so as we look at it that way, we want to do that again with this person. We want to explore and do things with this person. And over the last 2 years, there's been a lot of working out that relationship, working out with the way that we rely and depend on one another within that relationship. So to plan a trip again with somebody and have their life be affecting our plans, and um, and then we want to tail in another kind of extra bonus to that, where I can do something really special with my daughter and her grandmother, and travel and explore a different part, and how and explore their interests, and part of their I would say that what my mother-in-law provides to my daughter in terms of artistic guidance and all the things that she leads her to do. We have all these beautiful opportunities, but my fear lies in how is that all going to get planned out? And if other people back down, which they very well might do, they did it years ago and they might do it again. So what does that look like, not only for me and the journey that I want to take, but also what does that look like for our family unit? Because what's really important is that we do this no matter what. We still explore and we still share in what's important to me, and we still share in what's important to my daughter and plan for those things. So that came up last night, and that really, paid into the idea that we were in Cancer energy, which was like having those healthy boundaries and having those ideas of what is it that needs to be broken. And in our family and what we're creating, a lot of what needs to be pushed past is that dependency on other people, the codependency on other people, and grounding in what's actually important to us moving forward. And so, my husband and I, while we're creating this beautiful, safe, healthy family environment that we're working so hard to do, all those anxieties from both ends still come up. They still play into the way that we're trying to work on our own relationship and how we can express ourselves and express our needs and express our anxieties within that relationship in order to break the cycles for our children. Because we both grew up in environments where that wasn't always the case. And certainly up until a few years ago, especially when I started to look at my own self and really work through some of my own challenges, we've really learned and are still continuing to learn. It's an ongoing process, how to communicate better and how to build that safe and healthy environment for us. So those are three examples of how I'm currently working through it. I'm sure that there's many others that I can give. Another one that I will give quickly is when I woke up this morning, I saw as opportunity, there's an astrology cruise that I could go on to Alaska that like is pinging at my heart. That's definitely one thing that I would love to be doing to explore further and to share myself in that true Leo fashion, like go out and meet new people that have equal passion to me, that have similar interests to what I have. That time will come. So part of me being able to look at what I value, but plan ahead for that, which is going to come with that Virgo energy and learning like what's important really right now, what's going to be most important. And it might be just putting a pin in that and holding on to those ideas and not having them come in and confuse what's really important right now with what we're working on. So those are some examples. Other ways that this can show up in your world is through your work life, is through how you show up in being leaders of your community, being leaders of the groups that you belong to, and how you can sort of be merging what's important to you. I will share again, and I shared it this week. There was a Canadian election. I'm from Canada, so there was an election this week. And I'm sure that that's come up for a lot of people as we've been working through that stuff over the last few years, not just in terms of election, but what's come up in terms of shared values and different values. And how have we learned to work together? How are we learning to be respectful of different values or different opinions while still creating a beautiful world and working amongst each other? So learning how to express ourselves through that, learning how to take care of yourself on a daily basis where you're being confronted by other people's values, by other people's beliefs, and how you want to work with that within your own so that you can partner well with everybody and make sure that it's not preventing you, it's not delaying you from really working towards your own goals. This lifetime is about you. This lifetime is about how you show up for yourself so that you can build your legacy. And when you do that authentically, when you do that from a place of your heart, you can't go wrong. And if you do so in a way that you're working through your triggers on a daily basis and you're planning with intention, and you're planning with purpose, and you're looking at the large scale of it and really taking that time to have inner reflection and know where you come from, you can't go wrong. And you're going to be able to show up in your best authentic self, and you're going to allow other people to show up in theirs and create their world. And lastly, I encourage everyone, especially under Leo energy, to live your life and not live for other people's lives. Be the star of your own movie and not the star of other people's movies. One thing that has come up as I've worked through a lot of my stuff, and specifically, I shared before, I did this intensive week a couple weeks ago, and as I was working through some of those programs in the course that I was taking, a really great example of that was you can go into a movie theater and you can watch your own movie and you can understand that, and you can understand your role and everybody else's role in various different ways. Then if you were to step out of that movie and you were walking down the street and you watched other people walk into that movie theater, let's say, you watched people from your work life step into that movie theater and watch that movie about your life, they're going to view you and your role in an entirely different way. And then when they come out, and let's say a family member goes in and then they watch the movie, they too are going to see your role in an entirely different way. The best thing that we can do for ourselves is to show up authentically, to show up with the best interest for ourselves, and to show up with care and compassion for other people. Maybe cliche, maybe, whatever it is, corny, all those things, but it's the utmost truth. You can't control the way other people think of you, but you can control how you show up, and you can control what's important to you, going after that so that you feel good about that and you don't feel resentful or spiteful or any of those things that other people have a say in what happens in your world. You do you, work for you. And sometimes that's really hard to do. And sometimes we have 1,000 triggers and 1,000 things happening in our world. And if that stuff is really heavy for you right now, I feel you. I've been there. I continue to be there at times. By the same token, it's up to us. We are responsible. This is not victimhood mentality. This is, how are we going to shift through these energies and how can we plan ahead future? That's what Cycle Points is all about. Feel free to reach out if you want to find out more about that, but really being able to take the bird's eye view and look at the long term energies that are in front of us so that we can kind of understand and prepare ourselves for the energies that are coming through. We can prepare ourselves for the ups and the downs, the hills and the valleys, as I've been taught in my life, and we can work through those. And I'm there to guide you. Should you want to reach out and work with me, feel free to do so. You can also check out the archetypes course if you're curious about astrology and you want to learn more about that. I'll place in a few the stuff that you can reach me through down below. You can reach that through the Maven's Call, and you can always message me directly. But when we work through the archetypes, it's a beautiful way to look at all the signs of the zodiac and how they can speak to you individually, how you can reflect and meditate on where they show up in your life without even knowing your chart. And even if you don't know your sun sign, which most people know their sun signs, they know where they're born and they look in the magazine or in the newspaper or online now to read your horoscope. Even if that's all you know, all those signs are within you. And there's so much that we can learn by those archetypes. This month we work through ground, and this is the archetype of the materialist. And she's looking at what are the beliefs and values, what are the things and the resources that you want to ground into your world in terms of money and time and energy and emotions so that you can continue to use your own self-discipline and be the leader of your own show so that eventually you're building that legacy that you want to be here for. So until I see you next time, I hope that this was insightful. I love when people reach out to me. I love communicating with you all. So please feel free to do so. And I'll see you at the next check-in. Take care.